You think boredom is a modern problem. You think staring at a screen with nothing to do is something your ancestors could never understand. You are wrong. 30,000 years ago, a person sat in a cave in what is now southern France and spent hours carving the outline of a horse into a limestone wall with a sharpened flint tool. They were not doing it for survival. They were not doing it for food or shelter or protection. They were doing it because they had nothing else to do that evening. And that moment, a prehistoric human killing time by making art, is one of the most human things that has ever happened on this planet. The question is not whether ancient people got bored. They did. The question is what they did about it. And the answer is stranger and more familiar than you expect. Ancient humans had enormous amounts of free time. Most people imagine prehistoric life as a desperate, endless grind. Wake up, hunt, survive, sleep, repeat. The average hunter-gatherer worked between 3 and 5 hours a day to meet all their survival needs. 3 to 5 hours. The rest was theirs. That is more leisure time than most people reading this have right now. They told stories. This is the oldest human pastime on Earth, and it is not even close. Before writing, before music, before art, there was a person sitting by a fire after the hunt was done, making something up. Researchers studying rock art and ancient burial sites believe storytelling was not entertainment. It was technology. Which plants near the river bend were poisonous, where the herds moved when the dry season hit, what happened to the last group that camped too close to that ridge. Ancient humans did not sit in silence after dark. They performed. They used different voices. They acted out the movements of animals. They built tension and released it. The campfire was the first theater, and it ran every single night for hundreds of thousands of years. They played games. The oldest known board game is Senet, found in Egyptian tombs dating back over 5,000 years. But simple game pieces made of bone and stone have been found at sites far older than that. Ancient humans made dice from animal knuckle bones. They drew grids in the dirt. They competed, and it was not just adults. Ancient children's toys have been found at archaeological sites across the world. Small carved animals, clay figurines, miniature tools. Children in the ancient world chased each other, threw things at targets, climbed trees, and annoyed their parents exactly the way children do now. Play is not a modern invention. Play is what brains do when they are not under immediate threat. They made music. A bone flute carved from a vulture wing found in a cave in Germany is 45,000 years old. 45,000. That means humans were making instruments before they left Africa in significant numbers, before agriculture, before cities, before writing, before any of the things we associate with civilization. Someone sat down, carved holes into a bone at precise intervals, and played a melody. Not for any practical reason, because it felt good, because sound organized into pattern does something to the human brain that nothing else does. Percussion came even earlier. Hitting things rhythmically is so instinctive that researchers believe it predates modern humans entirely. Ancient people drummed on hollow logs, on stretched animal skins, on their own bodies. They danced. Not the way you think about dancing now, but movement tied to rhythm, tied to fire, tied to story. The body moving because something inside demanded it. They gambled. Evidence of betting behavior shows up in almost every ancient culture independently. Ancient Romans gambled obsessively. Ancient Chinese played games of chance. Ancient Indian texts describe gambling halls. But even before recorded history, the knucklebone dice, the marked stones, the counting tokens, all point to the same thing. Humans have always been willing to risk something for the thrill of an uncertain outcome. The dopamine hit of not knowing what comes next is not modern. It is wired into the oldest parts of your brain. They gossiped. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar famously argued that human language itself evolved primarily for social bonding, not for discussing hunting strategies or navigation, for talking about other people, who did what to whom, who broke the rules, who was trustworthy and who was not. Gossip in the ancient world was not shallow, it was the social operating system. Knowing the reputation of every person in your group was survival critical. Ancient humans were fascinated by each other in the same way you are fascinated by the people around you now. The drama did not begin with reality television. It began around a fire with someone leaning in and saying, "Did you hear what happened last night?"
They made things, not just tools, beautiful things, unnecessary things. Ancient humans carved geometric patterns into objects that had no practical use. They gathered shells from hundreds of miles away just to wear them. They mixed colored pigments and painted their bodies. They braided their hair. They decorated their weapons with engravings that served no functional purpose. The drive to make something beautiful is so old and so universal that it appears independently on every inhabited continent. It is not a luxury behavior, it is a core human behavior. Your ancient ancestors were not surviving machines running a grim biological program. They were people. Curious, restless, creative, social people who told stories and played games and made music and gossiped and competed and decorated themselves and watched the fire and wondered about the sky. The thing that kept them awake at night was not just predators. It was the same thing that keeps you awake. Questions. What is out there? What does it mean? What happens next? Boredom did not begin with smartphones. It began the moment a human brain became complex enough to need more than survival to feel satisfied. And everything that brain invented to fill that need, every story, every song, every game, every piece of art, is still with you now.